This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station. MNC. On News Talk 95.3, 101.9 FM, and 1340 AM, your MNC Nation station.
Good morning. I'm John Zimney in the MNC News Center. It is Friday, the 25th day of October, 2024. News continues now with our top local stories. A suspect's in custody after a shooting outside the First Source Bank on East Bristol Street in Elkhart left a man seriously hurt.
It was just after 4 o'clock Thursday afternoon when Elkhart police responded to a 911 call reporting a shooting in the bank's parking lot. Upon arrival, officers found a man suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. The victim was treated by medics on scene before being rushed to the hospital. Another man was arrested in connection with the shooting. No one inside the bank was injured. Alyssa Foster, MNC News.
News at 5 o'clock is powered by Burkholder Buildings and Supply. If it can be built in an office, a farm, or anywhere else, Burkholder is the highest quality for any need. Burkholder Buildings and Supply can help. Call today. The U.S. Army says it's now investigating the death of a previously missing Ligonier soldier as a homicide. Sergeant Sarah Roque was reported missing from Fort Leonard Wood on Monday. She had been a bridge crew member and a mine dog handler. Her body was later found in a dumpster. A person of interest has been identified. Further details, though, have not yet been released. And from cleared to charged, here's a recap of Day 6 testimony in the Delphi murders trial.
Richard Allen was interviewed days after the bodies of Abigail Williams and Liberty German were discovered. Allen said he was on the trails between 1:30 and 3:30, checking stocks on his phone. Allen's interview was wrapped up in 10 minutes, labeled cleared, and forgotten about until 2022, when it was found by a volunteer. And you know the rest from there. Allen is charged with the murders. Former Delphi Police Chief Steve Mullen testified today that Allen later changed his story in 2022, saying he left the trail before 2 o'clock and said he could not be the man captured on Libby's phone. Donnie Burgess, Network Indiana.
With a shift to the La Nina weather pattern coming up, WSBT meteorologist Cari Peugeot says we could have a slightly warmer but more snowy winter. She says the kind of pattern change we'll have has only happened 8 times before around here.
We found when we looked at temperatures, really most of the time the temperatures were near normal or just a little bit above. When we looked at precipitation, and this includes all types of precipitation, rain and snow, the data was split. When we averaged it out, though, typically precipitation was a little bit higher than normal.
She says not to be surprised if we have a very snowy December and a snowy March or early April, as it's happened before with a similar pattern change. For Cari's winter weather outlook, she's forecasting around 65 inches of snow for the season total. Now turning to Michiana's election headquarters, Jennifer McCormick and Libertarian Donald Rainwater going after Republican Mike Braun regarding his property tax plan for Hoosier homeowners during the final Indiana gubernatorial debate.
I want to know for clarity for the Hoosiers which version that he was talking about, because for the mayors and at the local level, our police, our firemen, and our schools, they are very, very concerned about what's coming out from Senator Braun's team, because it's nonsensical, it is not doable, and it's not ready on day one, and we still don't have a fiscal.
Mr. Braun, you're requested 30 seconds as well.
That may be your opinion of it, but from all the mayors and councilmen and commissioners I've talked to, they like the plan because it's clear.
The second version
You're going to have
the first version.
It's clear because it is going to actually address the issue, and there are other ways to raise revenue. Yours is unchecked, and by the way, when you were running the school system, things got worse after you were there, and that's your only involvement in public service. Property taxes, I'd take issue with that you're going to have a way to actually remedy the problem.
Now, job creation, abortion, gun laws, and whether to legalize marijuana hotly debated last night. Democrat Jennifer McCormick and Libertarian Donald Rainwater say it's time for adult use to be allowed. Republican Mike Braun says he's only in favor of medicinal use.
I think it's time for that to probably take place. I'll listen to the legislature, I'll listen to law enforcement, and we'll come up with something that's going to make sense for Hoosiers.
Obviously, here Mr. Braun says he'll listen to law enforcement. He says he'll listen to the General Assembly. I didn't hear him say he'd listen to you. and that's a problem.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. After 20 years of one-party rule, we still have people in the Republican Party who will say they'll listen to the local law enforcement. We didn't listen to them about permitless carry. We're not listening to them about protecting red flag laws. There are times where we're picking and choosing when we talk to local law enforcement. They are our law enforcement. We need to respect them and listen to them in all circumstances.
You can see video of the final Indiana gubernatorial debate with this story at 953mnc.com. Early voting turnout's been much higher already than in past years.
You just got to get out here and vote. Got to care about your community, your country.
Now from a Hoosier woman who's already cast her ballot, Indiana Secretary of State Diego Morales says roughly 500,000 Hoosiers have already voted. Marion County Clerk Kate Sweetie Bell says she's not surprised.
A presidential election is a big deal anyway, but a presidential election that is rife with so many twists and turns is compelling for voters.
Early voting in Indiana runs until noon on November 4th. You can see video of the final Indiana gubernatorial debate with the story at 953mnc.com. A 76-year-old man from Edwardsburg suffered a medical condition, then crashed his Ford Explorer at the roundabout at County Road 6 and Ash Road. This happened on Wednesday afternoon. The SUV lost control, hit a curb, then struck a lamppost and tipped onto its side, sliding into a stop in the median. Both the driver and passenger were taken to Elkhart General Hospital with minor injuries. And Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita's threatening to sue the South Bend and Seymour police departments.
He's demanding both give his office information to determine if their immigration policies line up with the state law that bans sanctuary cities. A spokesperson for the city of South Bend says they will follow all federal and state laws and will cooperate fully with what they call the misguided investigation. Rokita's Democratic opponent in the election. Morgan Hopkins, MNC News.
The ports of Indiana have entered into a partnership agreement with the ports of Cork and Ireland.
Governor Holcomb led a trade mission to promote direct connections by sea and air between Ireland and our state. Officials signed a memorandum of understanding between the ports aimed at collaboration on economic, environmental, and technology initiatives, as well as determining the feasibility of an express container shipping service between the two. The announcement of the agreement comes one day after Holcomb announced a new direct flight that would start between Dublin and Indianapolis. Ireland already ranks as Indiana's #1 importer with nearly $21 billion in shipments last year alone. That's more than our next two partners, Canada and China, combined. Tommy Lee, MNC News.
And it's been a sudden end to the varsity football season at Cassopolis Ross Beatty High School. It's due to numerous injuries and other recent circumstances. School leaders sent a letter to parents saying that continuing the season would pose unnecessary risks to the athletes. There will be a special program tonight, nonetheless, to spotlight the school's seniors. There is no charge for admission to that. New this morning on MNC, fire risk is up around our region, but the problem stretches farther than that.
There has been a moderate risk of wildfire across much of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic U.S. this week. Meteorologists at AccuWeather have been sounding the alarm about the bone-dry conditions and areas of extreme drought, which include parts of Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, and Ohio. Fall foliage is impacted, with leaves dropping earlier, which increases the fire risk. In all, 46 of the continental states are under a wildfire risk. Some parts of the country are expected to go the entire month of October with no measurable rain for the first time in recorded history. Tommy Lee, MNC News.
And the Shirley Hines Land Trust are hosting a Health and Harvest Festival this coming Sunday.
It's a family-friendly festival with free admission and a variety of interactive activities that promote healthy living while celebrating the fall season. They'll have donut bobbing, face painting, crafts, guided walks, and more. Visitors can dress in costumes, make s'mores, and enjoy coffee and hot chocolate. It's free and open to all ages and is happening on Sunday from 2 until 4 at Leidick Bog Nature Preserve in South Bend.
Cloudy skies to start with a few showers and scattered thunderstorms for the morning hours. We will clear out some later this afternoon. High temperatures today stay cool, right around 60 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy and clearing out. We drop down all the way near 40. And for tomorrow, partly sunny with a high of only 57. I'm WSBT 22 Chief Meteorologist Cari Peugeot.
95.3 MNC's Noises tomorrow at the Lerner Theater. Our special guest is Rob Schmidt. Host of Rob Schmidt tonight on Newsmax. Tickets are available at thelerner.com, the Lerner box office, or you can text NOISE to 45364. Presented to you by Wilson and Kinsman, attorneys fighting for you at 95.3 MNC. Up next, top trending stories. We'll also check out your 5-day forecast. MNC News Time, 5:14.
Podcasts by Federated Media.